The Oakland County Road Commission is working to get Paint Creek flowing again. Beneath Wood Trail in Oxford Township, the severely damaged road will remain closed to traffic until a permanent fix can be found. A contractor is expecting to soon begin work at the site of the massive sinkhole that opened up February 24th and 25th on Wood Trail, located near the Pollyann Trail. The collapse of the corrugated metal pipe culvert caused the sinkhole to form.
By a 4-0 vote of the Village Council, they're hoping the Downtown Streetscape project will receive state grant money to help fund the project. Councilman Joe Frost's message for the Michigan Department of Transportation concerning the project was to make a decision and stick with it. Check out the Oxford Leader online for more details.
Edison Township's elected treasurer, Lori Fisher, will continue her part-time gig working for Oxford Village. Last week, the council voted 3-1 to extend Fisher's independent contract agreement for 60 days, and Councilwoman Maureen Helmuth, however, was a lone dissenting vote, while Councilman Eric Dolan was absent.
The Oxford School District is looking into submitting a bid as part of a Michigan Department of Corrections pilot program. Winning the bid could lead to the district providing virtual education to over 400 inmates in 3 prisons across the state. Inmates ages 18 and up would be eligible to receive a high school diploma from the Oxford school system if they meet the curriculum requirements. The deadline for the district to submit the bid is March 23rd.
When Zach Throne was a student at Oxford High School, he was no stranger to the spotlight. He had leading roles in the school's production of Dracula, The 39 Steps, and A Christmas Story. These days, Throne is looking to break into and behind-the-scenes role in the film business. He is the co-founder and financial director of Just a Scotch Productions, a film company established last year based in Columbus, Ohio. The company's vision is to become an industry leader for the entertainment business in the Midwest, and this is through supporting Midwest talent and creating thought-provoking, engaging, and enjoyable films for all ages. The company recently launched a crowdfunding campaign. Visit Indiegogo.com to help finance its future film titled Cadia.
Prom season is near, and every high school girl deserves to feel like a princess on the big night. But not everyone has the means to dress like one, so the Oxford Public Library and Hope Closet are teaming up to provide dresses for the dance. Through the end of March, the library is serving as a collection site for Hope Closet. The public is encouraged to donate formal dresses and accessories such as shoes, purses, and jewelry. Plus-size dresses are especially needed. All items must be clean and either new or gently used and keeping with current fashion trends. Donations are tax deductible and receipts will be provided.
Lake Orion's Buffalo Wild Wings is inviting Oxford residents to enjoy a great meal at a local restaurant which will benefit veterans. Braun Mayette, an Oxford School's 5th-year early college student, will be hosting the fundraiser at Lake Orion's Buffalo Wild Wings on Monday, March 19th. 20% of each bill will benefit local nonprofit Miracle Quilts. Miracle Quilts is a group of quilters and sewers who create patriotic quilts to present to United States veterans both locally and overseas.
Oxford student musicians rocked the house during the Mid-Michigan School Band and Orchestra Association District 3 Band Festival at the high school's Performing Arts Center. The OHS Wind Ensemble, Symphonic Band, Concert Band, and Symphony Orchestra all received straight 1s from the judges. The OMS Orchestra consisted of 7th and 8th graders, and they scored 1s as well. Bands at the festival were were rated on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the highest possible score. Those achieved this score who are they're considered superior. Band director Jim Gibbons noted that collectively, this is the best Oxford has ever done at the festival. Congratulations. That's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories or others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, you can catch us on our website, occtv.org. You can find us on our channel and YouTube, the charter channels 191 and AT&T 99 and YouTube.
Coming up soon, John Ochins with the school news, and OCTV's very own Cody Wright with the sports report. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kinney.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Echols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, rising seas aren't the only problem facing low-lying coastal areas. Many of these areas are also sinking, vastly increasing the risk of flooding. In the San Francisco Bay Area, sea level rise alone could inundate an area of between 50 and 410 square kilometers by 2100, depending on both how much action is taken to limit further global warming and how fast the polar ice sheets melt. But when land subsidence is also taken into account, the area vulnerable to flooding during high tides and storm surges rises between 130 and 430 square kilometers. That's the conclusion of Manochar Siraji at Arizona State University and Roland Bergman at the University of California, Berkeley. They used satellite data from 2007 to 2010 to work out how land heights changed in the Bay Area at this time. A few areas, such as Santa Clara Valley, were rising slightly, likely because of increased groundwater storage. But most areas were sinking slightly by 1 or 2 millimeters per year. Some places, including parts of the city itself, plus San Francisco International Airport and Foster City, were sinking up to 10 millimeters per year. That's because these areas are built on natural mud deposits or landfill sites that are still compacting. The subsidence means these areas are sinking even faster than sea level is rising because of global warming, currently 3 millimeters per year and accelerating. The results show the importance of taking land subsidence into account when calculating the risk from coastal flooding, the researchers say. From 1990 to 2010, most people viewed sea level rising as pouring water into a bathtub, said James Savitsky at the University of Colorado at Boulder. But most people are now including land subsidence in their calculations. In 2009, Savitsky and colleagues showed that subsidence of up to 150 millimeters a year is a major problem in most of the world's river deltas, affecting cities like New Orleans to Bangkok and Shanghai. A major cause is the extraction of groundwater, gas, and oil. The blocking of flooding is another. Without annual deposits of fresh material, deltas subside fast due to compaction. Wow. And on the medical front, Australia is on track to become the first country to practically eradicate cervical cancer. A national school-based vaccination program has seen a sharp decline in human papillomavirus that is, or HPV infections, which cause over 98% of cervical cancer cases. Since 2007, all girls aged 12 or 13 in Australia have been offered a free HPV vaccination. A decade later, the proportion of 18 to 24-year-old women with HPV has fallen from 22.7% to 1.5%. That means the number of Australian women diagnosed annually with cervical cancer should drop from 3,000 to just a few by the year 2050, says study author Suzanne Garland at the Murdoch Children's Research Institute in Melbourne. Only 53% of women have received full 3 doses of the vaccine, but this still provides herd protection, says Garland. Vaccinated women do not acquire HPV from or infect unvaccinated men, and these men in turn do not transmit the virus to future unvaccinated female partners, she says. This herd effect has been further bolstered by the extension of the vaccination program to all boys aged 12 to 13 since 2013. The original vaccine protected against 4 HPV strains that cause 70% of cervical cancer. The latest version, which was rolled out in Australia in January, protects against 9 HPV strains that cause 90% of the cases. Any infections that aren't covered will be picked up during routine HPV screening, which has been offered to Australian women since December. If the virus is detected, it can be treated before it causes cancer. Good thing. In our last story, TV dancing judges, watch out. Artificial intelligence could be about to waltz into your territory. Abu Zahar Farhadi and his colleagues at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County unveiled Happy Feet at the Hot Mobile Conference in Arizona last month. The team asked people learning an Indian dance called Lasya to don 2 wrist and 2 ankle motion sensors each. They also trained an algorithm on data from an expert dancer and got it to process the students' moves after each class. In early tests, the system was 94% accurate at recognizing when someone was dancing in the correct style. It could also score the routine for accuracy. Ultimately, says Farhadi, the team wants to create a smartphone app that acts as a personalized dance tutor, and good luck with that. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcats School Update. It's English language testing time around the district these days. It's a state requirement for those whose first language at some point was other than English. Assistant Superintendent of Instruction Ken Weaver tells us more.
It's a federal and state requirement that all students that are identified as English as a second language students, or ESL, we now have shortened that abbreviation down mostly to like what we call English learners, ELs. We are required to test their English language proficiency with what is called the WIDA test. It has a complicated name, so we just all refer to it as the WIDA test, and it basically measures a student's proficiency in speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And it's a summative test that to see, and we are able to compare the kids, their scores from last year, and kind of see if they're progressing, if they're experiencing growth in being able to demonstrate proficiency in those areas of the English language.
Ken emphasizes this isn't necessarily just for those from a foreign land.
Like they grew up in a home that maybe mom and dad spoke Spanish or Chinese or Arabic, I mean, you name the language, and so they didn't grow up with that being their necessarily maybe their mother tongue, or they didn't as English as their mother tongue, and so they end up being, but now that they've lived here for quite some time, but because of that language development in the early years, they're sometimes a little bit behind, so we need to make sure that their English proficiency is developing at at the rate that it should. So it usually takes anywhere from 4 to 6 years for a kid to develop English proficiency to the point where they would be on par with like a native speaker.
This applies to students in all grades. Weaver talks about its importance.
No, it's just it's really an important test for us. It really helps with our English learner services because we also through the federal and state requirements, we also provide these students with extra assistance throughout the school year, and it helps us guide our program. So we take these tests very serious and look at the results and try to make sure that we make the necessary improvements to improve the education of these students as best we can.
A few days ago, we mentioned the VIP program, designed to give virtual training to kids abroad. We stopped by Coordinator Jill Lamone's office the other day for an update.
So in working with the United States Commercial Services abroad, they have offices all over the world, and we decided to do a market check within the country of Brazil. And in 2 different Brazilian cities right now, they are reaching out on our behalf, the U.S. Commercial Services on our behalf are reaching out to school districts and other potential educational partners to see if there are any interested parties in working with us in a purely virtual international relationship.
Jill's role in our virtual ed programs has been expanding lately. As you may have heard, she's also involved in developing a program using charter school capabilities to expand our virtual educational reach.
So in addition to the virtual international program and still overseeing the operations of our current seated international program, I am also exploring some other markets with regard to education and really making sure that we stay on the cutting edge of innovation and continue to pioneer the way in new ways for student learners.
If you've ever been to an Oxford Middle School concert or high school musical, teacher Jan Flynn is a familiar name to you. She's also known for her dedication to our veterans. She's been behind our annual Veterans Concert for many years, and now she's getting some recognition. 2 awards from the Michigan VFW, Michigan Teacher of the Year, and the Citizen Education Award.
In the VFW, there is the Department of Americanism, which promotes and teaches patriotism with students. It's an educational arm. And so I think that that's what it was, that is, as we go through, of course, I work with the students on a Veterans Day program, and this past year was our 16th program. So for 16 years, we've done Veterans Day programs, and we've invited veterans to speak to the children in the school setting, and they also do a performance, a concert for them around the Veterans Day timeframe.
I asked Jan about her connection with veterans.
Now, our son is a veteran of the Air Force Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team. They call it EOD. He served in the Air Force for 6 years, and he was very devoted and desirous of doing an excellent job. So he's now no longer in the Air Force, but he has moved on. My Uncle Russ served as a officer in D-Day. My dad served in World War II. I've got a lot of family members who have served in the military, and so I have a deep and abiding love for my country, and I believe that my freedom is one of the nearest and dearest things to me. We are so honored to be able to give back at some small level to our veterans. They are very generous and very kind and supportive, and we love being able to work with them.
And we're so honored to have you in our district, Jan. That's the Oxford School Update for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
What's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody Wright here once again to bring you the sports report. Okay, so we don't have a lot of variety this week, but the news is all around fantastic. First off, the boys varsity basketball team took on Holly at Clarkston on the 7th in the MHSAA district semifinals. We won 55-25, which is now sending us to take on Clarkston, who is ranked #1 in the district finals. Oxford has won 3 out of their last 4 games. Nolan Harding connected on a career high of 7 3-pointers and finished with 21 points. Jimmy Claudio had 10 points and 5 assists, and Trey Townsend had 8 points with 12 rebounds. The team as a whole were hitting the long shots, a total of 11 3-pointers that night, and it was incredible. And I am sure it is not news to you that the bowling team was just about as successful as you can get this season. First off, the boys team finished top 10 in the state, but the big news goes to the ladies this season as they captured the state title on March 2nd for the first time in Oxford girls bowling history. Out of 91 Division I schools, we finished first, and what an accomplishment that is. Only 8 teams advanced out of 18 that made it to the finals. Each team would now bowl 2 Baker games and 1 regular. We first took on Saginaw Heritage and were down by 18 pins after 2 Baker games. We then swept in from behind and won the regular game 920-886, giving us a 16-pin victory to the Final Four. Holt High School awaited us, and we came on strong, winning both Baker games along with a 1,193 to 1,152 point win, sending us to the final game against Dakota. We split the Baker games against them and lost the regular game in points, however, won the match as a whole, and we were declared state champs. I want to say congratulations to all the athletes and coaches of both boys and girls bowling teams. It was an incredible season. We did manage to send one of our guys, Rod Wright, out to Collier Lanes and get an interview with the coach, so here it is.
Hello, we are here with J.R. Lathner, the head of bowling here at Oxford, and actually the founder as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We started the program about 13 years ago.
Now you have some pretty special news to tell us today, huh?
Yeah, last weekend, our varsity girls team completed the journey we started last year. Last year we were runner-ups in the state, and this year we won the state title for 2018, so we're pretty happy about that.
I know there was a kind of a progression. It was a lot of second places, and then finally you got the one. So we say 2 + 2 + 2 in Oxford equals 1, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Last year we learned a lot. We ran up against a very tough Davison team. They were very good, but we competed, and we felt very good about what we did, and we brought a good portion of that team back this year and a couple additions, and we made a nice run. We won the Oakland County tournament earlier this year, so we had a boatload of confidence going into it, and this year we got a couple breaks that went our way, and we beat Dakota in the finals in a very, very good match.
How about a little bit of something about each individual girl on this team? Could you elaborate?
Absolutely. The 5 girls that were the mainstays on our varsity program this year were seniors Marissa Smith, Jenny Legault, Deanna Stazer, and then 2 juniors, Claire Sandstrom and Megan Armbruster. They were tough all year long. They ended up runner-up to Lake Orion in the OAA Red, predominantly with them, and then Savannah Barnes was on the team as well. She's a newcomer that transferred in. She did a nice job. But the bottom line is, this tournament, we brought up a couple of the underclassmen that were on JV. We brought up Maya Bruno, who's a sophomore, and then Grace Meyer, who's a freshman. And they participated a great deal and were a big part of the reason we won the tournament. So we did it as a team, and again, they all had a part to do. And they all did their part. And that's how we were able to come out victorious.
Well, I hear you didn't have a dry eye either.
Well, it's pretty emotional, You start these things and you go.
After 13 years.
13-year quest, and, so close last year. 2015, the boys were in the Final Four. So we've been there, and we felt like we were good enough. And then, when you put that kind of effort into it and see how the kids react and how much fun and the smiles and the joy and everything that they had going on, let alone the parents, they were going crazy in the crowd. But it's a very emotional thing. And to win a state title, if you're not coaching to win the state title, then you shouldn't be coaching.
Well, if you look at the trophy, I believe your lip marks are on them as well. But I also heard from an inside source that somebody is going to do a little blue and gold in their hair, perhaps?
Well,
I'm holding you to it. Come on.
I kind of put my foot in my mouth at lunchtime. The girls were trying to get me to shave my head if we won the tournament, and I felt like they could do it, so I kind of backed them down that I was going to dye my hair blue and gold, and I'm going to be happy to do it. I really am.
And better in a Gatorade bath.
Yeah, well,
better for the lanes too.
Yeah, better for the lanes, no question. But I'll be happy to do it because that's a small price to pay, and it's worth it. It's way worth it to do that.
Well, congratulations, JR. Congratulations, girls, and Oxford. You made us very proud.
Absolutely. And, shout out to all the coaches that work in the Oxford program. Fred Heichel is my assistant coach for the girls varsity, and we couldn't have done it without him. And Gordy Biskner, who works with our JV girls, also works with our middle school program. And, all these kids, with the exception of Savannah, who moved into the area, all have been in our middle school program, which Zine Weinkoop runs. So without those guys, we didn't get that title. So it's certainly a team effort, and we're proud to bring it back to the Wildcats here at Oxford.
Well, there we go. Wildcats, #1 in bowling. Thank you, JR.
Perfect.
And that's going to do it for this week's report. For any more info on these events and others, go to oxfordathletics.org. Plenty of statistics and game breakdowns all right there for you at oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at OCCTV.org. All of our coverage of the games are posted on our YouTube page, which can be accessed through the website. Once again, that is OCCTV.org. And that's going to do it for this week's report. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
It's not just a donation.
It's a warm blanket.
It's a bottle of clean water.
It's a roof and a bed.
Please donate now to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Your help is urgently needed.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, General Motors will increase production of the Chevrolet Bolt later this year to meet rising global demand for battery electric vehicles, CEO Mary Barra told energy industry leaders on March 7th. Barra's remarks also call for an expansion of the $7,500 federal tax credit for EV buyers, an incentive that is scheduled to be phased out for GM vehicles starting later this year. GM built over 22,300 Bolts in 2017, its first full year of production, according to the Automotive News Data Center. The automaker reported sales of over 23,200 Bolts in the U.S. last year, though availability was limited to certain states until going nationwide in August. Barra did not say how much production would increase, and a company spokesman declined to discuss specific numbers, citing competitive reasons. Barra said GM can easily adjust the Bolt assembly line in Lake Orion, Michigan to expand production. The car is built on the same line as the Chevrolet Sonic, and the plant currently runs on only one daily shift. The Bolt, which has a range of about 238 miles, was the top-selling electric vehicle in California last year, with over 13,400 registered in the state, the California New Car Dealers Association and Auto Outlook said in a report last week. And over at Ford, the technology upgrades and new diesel engine that Ford Motor Company announced last month for the 2019 Transit Connect wagon are coming to the cargo van variant too. Aimed at businesses ranging from dog groomers to package delivery companies, the freshened van is meant to bolster Ford's 46% market share in the segment. The 2019 cargo van, on sale later this fall, will come standard with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine mated to an 8-speed transmission. That replaces the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder on today's van. A new 1.5-liter EcoBlue diesel engine, also paired with an 8-speed transmission, is available as the only diesel option in the segment. Ford expects it to be rated at 30 miles per gallon highway. The cargo van will also offer a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder with a 6-speed automatic transmission and a prep package for fleets to use either compressed natural gas or propane. Officials say that this vehicle will offer a class-leading towing capacity of 2,000 pounds when equipped with an optional trailer tow package. It will also feature rear cargo doors that swing out 180 degrees and can be locked in the open position to easily load and unload goods. Ford says the 2019 cargo van will come with the most driver assist technology in the segment. That includes standard automatic emergency braking, part of Ford's efforts to make that technology standard on all of its models by 2022. Available technologies include adaptive cruise control, a blind spot information system, that is, and a cross-traffic alert and lane keeping assist. It will feature a standard embedded 4G LTE modem that provides Wi-Fi for up to 10 devices, part of a company-wide initiative to connect every vehicle by 2019. The Sync 3 infotainment system, however, is optional. And on the recall front, Hyundai is recalling nearly 44,000 vehicles in the U.S. because the steering wheel may detach from the steering column while the vehicle is being driven, increasing the chance of a crash. The recall covers 43,941 2018 Hyundai Santa Fe and Santa Fe Sport crossovers, covering 12,574 Santa Fe vehicles produced between June and December in South Korea, over 13,700 Santa Fe Sports produced between July and October at Hyundai's Alabama plant, and 17,600 Santa Fe Sports produced between August and October at Kia's Georgia plant. Another 84,056 vehicles in Canada were also recalled for the potential defect. There have been no injuries or accidents linked to the defect or incidents where the defect was discovered while a vehicle was in motion. The steering wheel assembly may break, which may result in a steering wheel detaching from the steering column while the vehicle is being driven, according to NHTSA's recall report. These vehicles may contain defective steering wheel assemblies from a certain suspect production lot from the supplier, Hyundai reported. In one case in the U.S., a driver was reaching for his wallet and using the steering wheel as leverage, Hyundai spokesman Michael Stewart told Automotive News. The steering wheel became loose, but the vehicle was not moving, he said. Dealerships will examine the steering wheel hub assemblies and replace the steering wheel assemblies if necessary, and the company will notify owners by mail starting in mid-March, Stewart said. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.